Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we're playing with the Total War Warhammer II Battle Replay. This is early access. Isn't that great? I love early access. It's Prophet and the Warlord. No, Warlock. Yes, the Prophet and the Warlock. I keep getting that name wrong. Yeah. Anyway, I'm playing Lizardmen, and I'm against the Dwarfs. I'm against Aerocrastic, and we wanted to see if this matchup had changed much with the new units, basically. And honestly, I think it's still fairly... I think it's maybe more even than it was. It tended to favour Dwarfs because, well, there's things like Croxagores, right? You had the armour-piercing anti-infantry on, and you basically just want to bring nothing but armour-piercing anti-infantry against the Dwarfs. But, yeah, you never really had that choice because most of the time you just had, you know, cheap frontliner skinks or Saurus warriors or something that struggled against armour, but you have to have some fodder. So it was always a bit tough. You know, it was always the big things like the Croxagores or Bastillodons or something, and they can just get gunned down because they're so tall, and that's always a problem. So that was always their issue, but now we have red crested skinks. Red crested skinks, they have armor piercing, which is really, really cool. Look at that, and they cost 575, I think it is. I don't know if it's going to change when it launches, but at the moment 575. But they have poison as well. I love this. This is actually huge, I think, because a lot of people don't know, when things get exhausted, they also lose armor. Their armor value lowers with tiredness. So against dwarfs that take ages to kill anything, it means that you have so long for that poison to take hold. So it means that any of your units are going to start doing more damage. So the red-crested skinks with all that poison is very useful. Also, that poison will slow things down, so it means that they can't, you know, take things out of their front line to try and support the back line. So these guys are really good here. They are quite expensive, though, a lot more expensive than I thought that they would be. But they have a lot of extra toys on them. So, you know, the armor piercing, the poison, and they also have frenzy. So frenzy plus 8 melee attack is pretty substantial. Extra weapon damage and charge bonus, immune psychology, that stuff. But it's only, you know, it's only available if they're higher than 50% leadership. And, you know, their leadership is, yeah, 68, which is actually pretty good. But it can be lowered pretty substantially. So Croxagores, obviously, pretty normal. I decided to go with the Slan Mage of Light because, well, oh, there we go. Look, Shield of Chakwa's been used. Isn't that lovely? So he's getting shot at by a cannon right now, and I brought these guys to help him out. So these guys have this active ability, the Shield of Chakwa, which will be 44% physical resist, missile resist, which is really good. These guys are really good, but they cost like 1100, and they are spearmen. They don't have a lot of, yeah, they have no real tool for killing a lot of dwarves, but they do have huge melee defense, so they will anchor the line for a long, long time. And yeah, with that missile resistance buff, they can really help things out like the Slan that are just terrible when it comes to cannons. The reason I brought the Slan Mage Priest of Light is basically so I can do the same thing Falcon does and just spam the big buffs, you know, Barona's Time Warp and Fire's Protection, just to keep all my guys safe and doing more damage. That's kind of my plan there. You know, it helps out a lot. But he is a very vulnerable target, so yeah, I wanted to see how that missile resist would help him out. So that's fun. So that's it for my front line, you know, skinks, red-crested skinks, Croxagores, there's some Croxagores in there too, and the Slan and Shield of Chakwa, the Legion of Chakwa. But over here, I have two Pterodon Riders. Pterodon Rider, and a third Pterodon Rider, which I've got to say the colour scheme on these guys are just superb. The Pterodons look amazing. But these are the Parho Sentinels, and they're very good. Here they have drop rocks of sundering, so they actually sunder armour with their drop rocks, and it does do more damage than the usual rocks as well. Only one use though, which is a bit of a problem, but they are very, very powerful. They're very good, and again, all the poison missile damage, similar things to the other Pterodon Riders, but they do have physical resist on top of everything else, which makes them very useful, a bit more durable, which is kind of cool. So, my opponent here, Aerocrastic. Now this, I wouldn't have thought of, Iron Drakes, but they're very good at killing skinks. And when you got red-crested skinks, that frenzy above 50% leadership, and have no shields, you can do a lot of damage to them, and get rid of their frenzy with the leadership debuffs from Burnt that the Iron Drakes cause. So suddenly, Iron Drakes seem viable in this matchup. So weirdly, it's sort of given more viable options for the Dwarfs, which I think makes this just a perfect thing. You know, the perfect addition of new units for Lizardmen. It actually means that their opponents can bring more different stuff as well, which is brilliant. You know, you so rarely get that happen, so it's wonderful to see. And Iron Drakes, they can put in some work. Frontline, mostly Longbeards, some Dwarf Warriors put in there as well. Ulthar's Raiders, yep, you want to increase the missile damage things are taking, you know, they're perfect. Huge armor piercing on them anyway, so they're great. Load of Thunderers, and the cannon, of course. The cannon is a real problem. But that's why I've got my Pterodon Riders. Also, the Slayers in the back. Dragonback Slayers, very, very weak to the Javelins from the Pterodon Riders. They are very good at just, yeah, whittling down units like this with no armor. So very handy to get rid of them. Also has Belagar Iron Hammer, and one change to him in this patch is that Revenge Incarnate, it isn't a one-use thing anymore. He can use it every 2 minutes, which is awesome. because that wasn't the case before. It was a one-use thing. So that 44 melee attack and 50% weapon damage, the amount of time he stays alive, he is so hard to kill. It means he'll be able to get a good few uses out of that, hopefully. So, speeding things up, you can see I'm starting to push in. Lovely. Lovely stuff. My Slan is doomed. He's so hurt. He is so hurt. He's not good. But my Pterodons have almost got to his artillery, and that is good news. My Skinks having taken a lot of damage from the Iron Drakes, and I'm getting close. They're going to fall back. Luckily, he hasn't gone for the red crested Skinks, so that plan hasn't quite worked. I sent them onto the shields in first. That's the way to do it. So pushing them in. A load of gunfire now on my Croxigors, and I use shield of the old ones as well to try and stop them taking too much damage. And look at this. A couple of rocks and some javelins, and that cannon crew is toast. Sadly, though, all Thud Raiders have turned around, and all the Thunderers have turned around as well. Oh no. Please stop. Please stop that. Anyway, they're shattered, so that's good news. Units are pushing in, and my Croxigors, they're going to run into the side and get on top of these guys. So over here you can see Barona's Time Warp and Fast Protection on this side. I probably should have just double buffed all the same units, honestly, but I'm trying to push these Croxigors through, and they are taking their time. Come on, guys. Come on, get into these units. And also I'm using my Pterodon Rise to try and just stop the Thunderers from shooting long enough to push my big monsters in. But yeah, my Croxigors are being a bit rubbish at this. I'm giving them so many orders, and the amount of times they just sort of move a few steps and they go, you know what, I'm fighting over here, and run back. It was infuriating. It was absolutely infuriating. Over here, tried to get with the banishment, and I knew he'd probably avoid it. You know, Aerocrastic's micro is good, but so long as the Thunderers are running, they're not shooting, so it still helps me. So I've got some good damage in there. You know, Croxigors doing what they can, but marked by Ulthar and all these guys shooting into them, suddenly things are looking pretty bad for me. So, charging in with all my Pterodon Rise again, trying to probe, but I need to get to this back line. See, I'm pushing my Croxigors in again, trying to get onto these Thunderers, but right now he's able to shoot one unit, and then get rid of it, turn around, shoot a different unit, turn around, shoot a different unit. I need to get on top of everything. And that's one thing with this matchup. Yeah, I've got the red-crested Skinks, and they are pretty good. You know, they do perform pretty cost-effectively against a lot of these units, which is nice to see. And they are smaller targets, so these guys are pretty much untouched. Isn't that lovely? Look at that, and they're great, but they're still going. But I still need more backline pressure, so I could have gone with a cheaper unit, the Feral Cold ones, and I could have just swamped this back line completely. And I think that might have actually been better for me, if I'm honest. He would have had more Longbeards able to push through, but with the amount of Croxigors and stuff, it would have ended up just a big blob, and that would have served me better. So, yeah, it's interesting. So the red-crested Skinks, they do add a lot of tools, but also having to spend the money on them means you're not spending the money on other things that might be more useful. Over here, though, there is the odd thing I'm doing wrong. Like, these Skink cohorts, should just pulled them up and around and got the rear charge into them, you know? Why the heck not? These guys slowly getting whittled down. I mean, Belagar's in there with a load of Longbeards. They weren't going to survive with a Lord backing them up. And here you can see the Slan Mage Prince very injured, so I'm trying to keep my boys alive. I've got Croxigors in, load of his ranged, which is very, very handy, but units keep coming back. And my Pterodon Riders, I've been having to use them so aggressively to try and stop things shooting, that they're too injured to just run off and start chasing away the units that are fleeing, which is a real problem for me. It is a real problem. Here you can see the Dragonback Slayers are still in this fight, but a lot of my Croxigors are pretty healthy right now. I am dealing with a lot of his units, but this sort of, well, not the flank I'm, you know, holding, but this sort of left, well, the right centre bit, yeah, the Dwarfs won that. Because my Croxigors that are in here had to run into the back line to do the work. And now Iron Drakes are back online, and these Croxigors are pretty caught out. These ones have rampaged, so they're going to be fighting those Thunderers all day, same with these, but there are more guns coming back online, and it's not going to take much to finish off these units that are all very injured. I mean, look at that. These guys actually managed to fight them off somehow while shooting at my other ones. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So these Croxigors trying to charge into the back of these units because I want to free up as many of these units as possible. So I just want to break these Longbeards as fast as I can, and then I can bring more Skinks to bear into whatever I can. So over here, Longbeards and Longbeards. So this is risky. This is risky. But I'm going to banish this lot. I'm going to try and banish. That's what I'm going to try and do in a second. Any second now. So here, actually use Fast Protection, try and keep these red-crested Skinks in the fight a little longer. It will give them much more melee defense at 49, and yeah, against the 31 melee attack of Longbeards, they will hold for a long time, so it lets them get more of that poison and armor piercing in. But, oh my god, these Iron Drakes, just dealing with my Pterodon Riders, it's real bad. Croxigors still in the fight over here, trying to deal with Ulthar's Raiders, but they're gone, they're gone. Too many ranged units left, and here's that banishment. I thought it was a lot sooner. Sadly, though, it seems to go across all of my Legion of Chakwa. I mean, it does go across his too. it's really hard to tell if this was good for me or not. I mean, the Legion of Chakworg were keeping all this stuff busy regardless, so now all I've done is the Legion of Chakworg are gone. That might have been cost effective in terms of the spell, but in terms of utility, I've just freed up 3 units for him. So Crocs Gauls try to charge in, but nope, forget it. I need to get to the back line. Need to stop these guys. That leadership mounter in the Iron Drakes is actually being very, very, very useful right now. Longbeards, Dwarf Warriors, everything's charging in to my Crocs Gauls, and Ulthar's Raiders are back, which is very bad. So I'm going to have to run off. Marked by Ulthar. I need to run. Just get out of there a bit. More Crocs Gauls coming in though. Pterodon Riders, finally able to chase off some Thunderers, but there's still so much more going on. So I've got some Skinks coming back. My red-crested Skinks finally lost out against the Longbeards. And so them and another unit of Skinks, it wasn't really cost-effective against the Longbeards. You know, they did trade cost-effectively against me there, which is a pity. That's the thing. Lizardmen still need to use sort of combined arms, even just to take on, you know, something simple like a unit of Longbeards, which is a problem. It's definitely a problem. So over here, Crocs Gauls just being dealt with horribly. Trying to use fast protection on him to give him some extra protection from something, but yeah, the extra armor isn't going to help much when there's so much armor piercing. So that's a problem. But they're broken now, so just Ulthar's Raiders that are ranged. Dragonback Slayers nearly all dead. Got some Crocs Gauls here. Legion of Chakworg coming back in. And I've got quite a few Skinks here, so if I can get through these Dragonback Slayers, maybe I can get into these units. But I don't see myself killing Belagar with anything. I don't have anything that can kill Belagar in a hurry. Him even dueling these Crocs Gauls, I think he'd win out eventually. So those units are shattered, so I need to bring the Pterodon Riders back in, try and get on top of the Bronze Raiders, which I will do in a second. Red-crested Skinks, they're charging in, try and deal with these Longbeards again, at least keep them out of the fight for a while. But the leadership penalties I'm suffering here are very bad. And here, there's only one volley left from Ulthar's Raiders, but it could be enough to deal with my Crocs Gauls. But I think I should have just gambled. I should have just charged the Crocs Gauls in, to be honest. I think I needed them in here. But yeah, I was scared of Ulthar's Raiders, guys. I was scared of Ulthar's Raiders. I wanted the Pterodons to come in, but I had no choice but to charge in with all of my units sooner, or else he was just going to start picking me up with Iron Drakes. So I need to get in here, shield the old ones, to try and give them some resistance. Fast protection as well, giving them some nice buffs. Cold-blooded to try and keep his leadership up. Cold-blooded is now 16 leadership, by the way, not 8. So Rampage kicks in at a lot smaller threshold now. So instead of 50% health, it's 20%, which is really cool. It's Primal Instincts doing that. The Feral Dinosaurs is still 50%, and things like Manticores still 50%. But it's 25 for most other units, which means Cold-Blooded isn't as useful anymore. So it's just a bigger leadership, you know, buff now, which is really good. There we go, Valiant Defeat. Honestly, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's Aerocrastic. He's very good. But it's really good to test this. It's very good to test this because a lot of people are thinking, yeah, red-crested Skinks, it just means that Lizardmen will be able to stomp Dwarfs. But it just means that Dwarfs have to bring slightly different units now. I think your best option is still, you know, replacing these guys with a bunch of feral cold ones. And just getting on top of everything in a hurry. You know, you have your Pterodon Riders to try and shut down artillery and Slayers, and then just the whole back line, anything like Thunderers or, you know, Trollhammer Torpedoes, anything like that, just throw feral cold ones at them. They have terrible combat stats, these guys. So as long as you're on top of them, they're going to get killed pretty quickly. Crocs Gauls, I think, are fine. There's actually a build that Romulan Dog uses a fair bit, where he uses Krokgar. Which is interesting, because Krokgar, you think, well, is he really useful? Because it's Krokgar, right? He's anti-large. But he's still got huge armor piercing. And he is so quick. He is very hard to shoot, because he's so fast. So he can get in and out in a hurry. With a Revivification Crystal, yeah, you can just proc it on him. He can charge in, huge charge bonus on Grimlock. And get on top of things like Belagar and do a heck of a lot of damage to Lords and Heroes. So it can work very, very well, I think. I think the Slan, yeah, it works sometimes. It works sometimes, but it's very difficult. You still need a lot of maneuverability. You need things like cold ones. And if you're spending a lot on red-crested Skinks, you're not necessarily going to have enough punch, I don't think. Enough backline harass. Because that's where the game is won or lost against Dwarfs. It's if you can get into the backline and shut down all the guns, or Trollhammer Torpedoes, or cannons. Because that's what's going to kill you. And so I don't think the matchup has actually changed all that much. Which is interesting. Just a bit more variety, but I don't think it's going to swing one way or the other, sort of to any extreme, which is good. That's always a worry with new units. But I think Lizardmen and Dwarfs, that matchup is still pretty good. So yeah, good news. Good news, everyone. So good news for Dwarfs. They have a lot of bad matchups. So it's nice to know that Lizardmen, you know, their new stuff isn't just going to stop them, because I was very concerned about that. A lot of us were, but Yeah, it's all good, guys. It's all good. So, guys, if you enjoyed this, please do comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day, guys.